The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched across several kilometers, its walls made of living crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. Hundreds of different alien species filled the enormous space, their various forms creating a bizarre symphony of sounds, smells, and colors. Some floated in energy bubbles, others crawled across the ceiling with multiple legs, and a few existed as pure thought patterns displayed on hovering screens. Ambassador. Veltara adjusted the breathing mask over her face as she reviewed the stack of documents in front of her. Her crystalline skin sparkled under the chamber's light as she sighed deeply. Another request from Earth had arrived that morning, and like all the others, it would be quickly dismissed. The humans want trading rights again, she announced to the council members seated around her. Her voice carried a tone of mild annoyance, as if she were discussing a persistent insect. Commander Rax, a large reptilian creature with scales that shifted color based on his mood, let out a sound that resembled laughter. Do they ever learn? We've told them many times that they are not ready for advanced technology. The Council had classified Earth as a developing world over 200 years ago. The humans were considered too primitive to participate in galactic affairs. Their technology was laughably simple compared to the rest of the galaxy. While other species traveled between stars in minutes, humans still used chemical rockets that took months to reach their own moon. Their weapons were basic projectile devices. Their computers were slow and bulky, and their understanding of physics was elementary at best. They sent another ambassador last month, said Councilmember Crix, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish with dozens of tentacles. The human actually believed we would consider their request for hyperspace technology. The assembled aliens made various sounds of amusement. The idea of giving hyperspace travel to humans was absurd. They would probably blow themselves up within days of receiving such advanced knowledge. What the council members did not know was that every word they spoke was being recorded. Hidden sensors placed throughout the chamber by human intelligence. Agents captured every meeting, every discussion, and every insulting comment about Earth and its people. The humans had learned long ago to smile politely during diplomatic meetings while secretly gathering information about their cosmic neighbors on Earth. In a secure facility buried deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, Dr. Minji turned off the recording device and looked at her team of scientists. The room was filled with the planet's brightest minds, men and women who had dedicated their lives to advancing human technology. They think we are stupid, Dr. Mingi said calmly, though her eyes burned with determination. They believe we will never amount to anything in this galaxy. Dr. Doyen, a young physicist who specialized in quantum mechanics, shook his head in frustration. We have been asking for basic technology exchanges for decades. All we want is to learn, to grow, to become part of the galactic community. And they refuse us every time, added Dr. Hannah, who worked on biological computing systems. They treat us like children who cannot be trusted with grown-up toys. Dr. Jisoo, the team's expert on dimensional physics, stood up and walked to the large window that showed the facility's main laboratory. Maybe it is time we stopped asking for their permission. The others looked at her with interest. For too long, humanity had tried to follow the established path to galactic acceptance. They had studied alien technology, attempted to replicate their achievements, and begged for recognition from species that saw them as inferior. What are you suggesting? Dr. Minji asked. We stop trying to be like them, Dr. Jisoo replied. We stop following their rules, their methods, their expectations. We find our own way forward. The room fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. The galactic community had established certain standards for technological development. All species were expected to follow the same basic path. Master chemical propulsion, develop basic energy weapons, learn to manipulate electromagnetic fields, and eventually discover hyperspace travel. It was a proven method that had worked for thousands of civilizations. But what if humans took a different approach? What if they developed technologies that the galaxy had never seen before? Dr. Minji smiled slowly. They ignore us because they think they know what we are capable of. But what if we surprise them? Over the following months, the team began working on projects that had nothing to do with conventional galactic technology. Instead of trying to build faster chemical rockets, they explored quantum entanglement communication. Instead of improving energy weapons, they developed biological computers that could think and learn. Instead of attempting to master hyperspace, they researched dimensional mechanics. The beauty of being dismissed by the galactic community is that no one paid attention to what humans were actually doing. The alien surveillance systems monitored. For standard technological signatures, they watched for hyperspace experiments, antimatter research, and plasma weapon development. They completely ignored the strange quantum experiments happening in Earth's laboratories. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council continued their meetings, making decisions about territorial expansion, trade routes, and resource allocation. Earth was never mentioned in these discussions. The humans were considered so insignificant that they were not even worth considering as a potential threat or ally. Ambassador Deltera filed another report dismissing Earth's latest diplomatic request. Her mind, the humans would eventually accept their place in the cosmic order. They would remain a single-planet species, perhaps eventually serving as a minor client state to one of the major galactic powers. She had no idea that her dismissive attitude had just sealed the fate of the galaxy itself. 5 years had passed since the Galactic Council's latest rejection of Earth's diplomatic requests. In the grand halls of alien civilizations, humans were still considered a footnote in galactic history. But in the hidden laboratories beneath Earth's surface, a revolution was quietly taking place. Dr. Doyan stood before a wall of glowing screens in his quantum communication lab. His latest breakthrough had changed everything they thought they knew about long-distance communication. While the galaxy relied on hyperspace beacons to send messages across vast distances, Doyan had discovered something far more elegant. "Show me the test results again," Dr. Mingy said as she entered the lab. She had been leading Earth's secret research program for years now, and every day brought new surprises. Doyan pressed a button, and the screens lit up with data. "We sent a message to our probe near Jupiter." The message arrived instantly. Not in minutes, not in seconds, but at the exact same moment we sent it. The implications were staggering. Quantum entanglement communication meant that humans could talk to each other across any distance without using the galaxy's controlled communication networks. While aliens monitored hyperspace channels and charged fees for using their relay stations, humans could now communicate freely and privately. In another part of the facility, Dr. Hannah was working on something equally revolutionary. Her biological computers looked nothing like the silicon-based machines that the galaxy considered standard. Instead, they were grown from modified organic materials that could think, learn, and adapt in ways that no artificial intelligence had ever achieved. "Look at this," Hannah said excitedly as she showed her latest creation to a visiting colleague. The computer looked like a small tree with glowing branches, but its processing power was incredible. It can solve problems that would take the galaxy's best supercomputers weeks to figure out. The organic computer hummed softly as it worked, its branches pulsing with different colors as it processed information. It had already solved 3 major engineering problems that had been puzzling human scientists for decades. But the most important breakthrough was happening in Dr. Jizu's dimensional research lab. She had been studying the structure of space itself, looking for ways to manipulate reality at its most basic level. What she had discovered was beyond anything the galaxy had ever imagined. "We can create pocket dimensions," she announced to the assembled team during their weekly meeting. "Small spaces that exist outside normal reality, where we can store things, build things, even live if necessary." The room fell silent as everyone tried to understand what she was saying. The ability to create and control pocket dimensions was theoretical physics at its most advanced level. Even the galaxy's oldest civilizations had never achieved such technology. "Show us," Dr. Mingy said simply. Dr. Jisoo led them to a large chamber where a strange device hummed with energy. It looked like a ring made of twisted metal, surrounded by dozens of smaller machines that monitored its every vibration. She pressed a series of buttons, and the air inside the ring began to shimmer. "Step through," she said with a smile. "Doctor." Mingy walked forward hesitantly and stepped through the ring. For a moment, she disappeared completely. Then the ring shimmered again, and she stepped back through, her eyes wide with amazement. "There is a room on the other side," she whispered. "A room that should not exist. It is bigger than this chamber. But it exists in a space no larger than the ring itself." The implications were overwhelming. Pocket dimensions could be used for storage, allowing humans to carry vast amounts of equipment in spaces no larger than a briefcase. They could be used for manufacturing, creating factories that existed outside normal space. They could even be used for travel, allowing humans to step from Earth to distant worlds without using ships at all. While the team celebrated their breakthroughs, they were also putting their discoveries to practical use. Earth's first dimensional gateway had been built in secret, connecting the planet to a small moon in a distant star system. The moon was barren and airless, but it provided humanity with its first foothold beyond the solar system. The beauty of dimensional travel was that it left no trace. The galaxy's monitoring systems watched for hyperspace signatures, antimatter, trails, and energy weapon discharges. They completely missed the subtle dimensional rifts that humans were using to expand across the galaxy. Within 2 years, humanity had established settlements on 17 different worlds. But these were not the lush garden planets that other species fought over. Instead, humans had learned to make uninhabitable worlds work for them. They built cities inside asteroids, created atmospheric processors that could turn poison gas into breathable air, and established thriving colonies in the vacuum of space itself. The galactic surveillance networks detected none of this activity. As far as the aliens knew, humans were still confined to Earth, still struggling with primitive chemical rockets, still begging for recognition from their cosmic superiors. Ambassador Veltora received her monthly report on human activities and barely glanced at it. The document showed the same thing it always showed: a single world with a developing civilization that posed no threat to galactic stability. She filed it away without a second thought. In her crystalline chambers, she had no idea that human settlements now existed within a few light years of her own home world. She could not imagine that the primitive humans had developed technology that made her own civilization's achievements look like children's toys. The quiet revolution continued, and the galaxy remained completely unaware of the storm that was coming. The first reports came from the Outer Rim territories. Entire star systems were going dark, their communication signals simply stopping without explanation. The Galactic Council initially dismissed these reports as technical failures or minor pirate raids. They had dealt with such problems before, but then the refugees began arriving. Commander Rax stood in the council chambers, his scales shifting to a deep red color that indicated extreme distress. Before him, holographic displays showed the testimonies of survivors from the Kepler system. Their words painted a picture of horror that few council members wanted to believe. "They came from everywhere at once," whispered a Zephyrian trader, his energy form flickering with terror. "Millions of ships, all moving like parts of a single mind. They stripped our planets bare in hours." The Cathara swarm had returned. For 3 centuries, the galaxy had enjoyed relative peace. The Cathara, an ancient hive-minded species of insectoid warriors, had been driven back into the galactic core after their last rampage. Most species had assumed they were extinct. Destroyed by the harsh radiation and gravitational forces near the galaxy's center, they had been wrong. Ambassador Veltara studied the tactical reports with growing alarm. The Cathara fleet was massive, beyond comprehension. Intelligence estimates suggested over 1 million ships, each one perfectly coordinated with all the others. They moved like a single organism, consuming everything in their path. "How many systems have we lost?" she asked the military advisor. 17 confirmed, 12 more likely gone, but we have no communication," came the grim reply. At their current rate of expansion, they will reach the core worlds within 6 months. The Council immediately mobilized every available military force. The Zephyrian Empire contributed their energy manipulation fleets. The Hegemony sent their crystal hold dreadnoughts. The ancient Mortani deployed gravity weapons that could crush planets. It was the largest military force the galaxy had ever assembled. It was not enough. The first major battle took place in the Rigel system. The combined galactic fleet numbered over 50,000 ships, armed with the most advanced weapons known to the galaxy. Plasma cannons that could crack moons, shields that could deflect stellar radiation, and artificial intelligences that could calculate targeting solutions. Faster than biological minds could think, the Cathara overwhelmed them through sheer numbers and perfect coordination. For every alien ship that destroyed 10 Cathara vessels, 20 more would take their place. The hive mind learned from every encounter, adapting their tactics and defenses to counter each new weapon. Within hours, the galactic fleet was in retreat. Half their ships had been destroyed, and the survivors brought back disturbing reports. The Cathara were not just fighting them, they were studying them. Every weapon fired, every defensive measure taken, was being analyzed and countered by the collective intelligence of the swarm. Dr. Minji watched the battle reports from Earth's hidden command center. The dimensional communication network allowed humanity to monitor galactic communications in real time. She saw the fear in the alien commanders' voices, the desperation in their tactical decisions. "They are losing," Dr. Dione observed quietly. "The entire galaxy is losing to these creatures. Should we help them?" Dr. Hannah asked. "They have never shown us kindness, but watching entire civilizations die, ... The question hung in the air. Humanity had spent decades being dismissed and ignored by the galactic community. The aliens had made it clear that humans were not welcome as equals. Why should Earth risk its hidden colonies and secret technology to save species that considered them primitive? System after system fell to the Cathara advance. The proud Zephyrian Empire, masters of energy manipulation for 10,000 years, watched their homeworlds burn. The hegemony's crystal cities, considered the most beautiful structures in the galaxy, were reduced to glittering dust. Even the ancient Mortani, who had controlled gravity since before most species had achieved spaceflight, found their weapons useless against the swarm's adaptive defenses. Ambassador Veltara sat in the emergency council session aboard the mobile command station, one of the few safe places left in the galaxy. Around her, the representatives of dozens of species argued desperately about strategies that had already failed. "We need every ship, every weapon, every ally we can find," she declared, her crystalline voice cracking with stress. "Contact every member species, every client state, every civilization that has ever cooperated with us." A junior aide, a young hegemony crystal form raised a hesitant appendage. "Okay, Ambassador, should we ... Should we perhaps contact the humans?" The chamber fell silent. The idea was almost insulting. The humans, with their single world and primitive technology, could contribute nothing meaningful to a war that was destroying the galaxy's greatest civilizations. Their chemical rockets and metal projectile weapons seemed laughably inadequate against an enemy that had crushed plasma cannons and gravity manipulators. But as another star system winked out on the tactical display, showing the Cathoras continued. "Advance." Commander Rax's scales shifted to a color that indicated grudging acceptance. "Send the message," he said wearily. "We will accept help from anyone at this point, even if it is only symbolic." The message was sent to Earth through conventional hyperspace channels. It was polite but condescending, asking for any assistance. "The human government feels able to provide in the current crisis. The aliens expected perhaps a few dozen ships, outdated weapons, and moral support. They had no idea what they were about to receive." The Galactic Council's emergency fleet hung in space around the dying Arcturus system, ships battered and low on power. 3 weeks had passed since they sent the distress call to Earth, and most council members had forgotten about it entirely. They had bigger problems to worry about as the Cathara swarm continued its relentless advance. Commander Rax stood on the bridge of the command ship. Watching the tactical displays with growing despair, the Cathara had consumed another 2 star systems in the past week, and their adaptive defenses were becoming stronger with each battle. Every weapon the galaxy threw at them was studied, analyzed, and countered within hours, Sir called out. "A communications officer, we are receiving a response from the human government." Rax barely looked up from the display. "What do they say? Are they sending their primitive fleet to help us?" "Actually, sir, they say they are already here." Before Rax could ask what that meant, space around the fleet began to shimmer. Hundreds of tears appeared in the fabric of reality itself, and through these dimensional rifts came ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The human vessels were sleek and elegant, their hulls seeming to bend light around them. They moved with impossible grace, phasing in and out of normal space, as if the laws of physics were mere suggestions. Most shocking of all, there were hundreds of them, far more than Earth's entire known fleet capacity. On the bridge of the lead human ship, Admiral Sola activated the communication system. Her hair had turned white during the years of secret preparation, but her eyes still burned with determination. She had spent decades watching alien species dismiss her people, and now it was time to show them what humanity had truly become. Galactic Council Fleet, this is Admiral Sola of the Earth Defense Force. We received your message. We are here to help. The alien command bridge fell silent. Admiral Sola appeared on their main screen through a holographic projection system that was far more advanced than anything they possessed. Image was perfect, transmitted instantaneously across impossible distances without any of the delay or distortion that marked their own technology. "How?" Commander Rax managed to whisper. "How are you here? How do you have so many ships?" Admiral Sola smiled, and there was no warmth in it. "You taught us well, Commander. Every time you dismissed us, every time you told us we were not ready, every time you made it clear we did not belong in your galaxy, you taught us that we would have to find our own path." As she spoke, the human fleet began to demonstrate capabilities that defied everything the galaxy knew about warfare. Their ships did not just move through space, they moved through multiple dimensions simultaneously, appearing and disappearing at will. The Kythera swarm, so perfectly adapted to conventional tactics, found themselves unable to predict or counter attacks that came from directions that should not exist. Human weapons were equally revolutionary. Instead of the brute force plasma cannons favored by most species, they used precise dimensional strikes that could hit targets in multiple realities at once. Their AI systems did not just calculate firing solutions, they thought, adapted and learned in real time, matching the Kythera's hive mind with artificial intelligence that seemed genuinely alive. Dr. Jisoo materialized on the alien bridge through a personal teleportation device, her arrival causing several council members to step back in shock. She carried a tablet displaying information that made their best scientists weep. "The Kythera hive mind operates on quantum entanglement principles," she explained calmly. "Each individual unit is connected to the collective through subspace frequencies. We have developed weapons that can disrupt these connections, causing temporary chaos in their coordination." Ambassador Veltara stared at the human scientist in amazement. "You understand their technology?" "After only observing them for a few weeks, we have been studying them for 3 years," Dr. Jisoo replied. "Our dimensional observation networks have been monitoring the Kythera since they first emerged from the galactic core. We knew they were coming long before your outer colonies were attacked." The revelation hit the alien commanders like a physical blow while they had been scrambling. To understand their enemy, the humans had been calmly studying and preparing. The species they had dismissed as primitive had been watching the galaxy's greatest threat and developing countermeasures. The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Human ships danced through dimensional space, striking at Kythera vessels from impossible angles. When the insectoid warriors tried to adapt their defenses, they found themselves facing weapons that operated on principles they had never encountered. Most devastating of all was humanity's approach to the hive mind itself. Instead of trying to destroy it, they infected it with AI viruses that could think their way through biological neural networks. These digital entities fought pitched battles inside the Kythera's collective consciousness, introducing chaos and confusion into a system that had operated with perfect unity for millennia. "How long have you had this technology?" Commander Rax asked, his voice barely audible as he watched human forces systematically dismantle enemy formations that had been unstoppable for months. "We developed it because you left us no choice," Admiral Sola replied. "You made it clear that we would never be accepted using your methods, following your rules, or meeting your standards. So we stopped trying to be like you and started being ourselves." The tide of war had turned, and the galaxy was about to learn what humanity was truly capable of. The war ended not with a massive explosion or a final desperate battle, but with something far more unexpected. The Cathara swarm, which had terrorized the galaxy for months, simply stopped fighting. Their millions of ships hung motionless in space. No longer attacking or consuming everything in their path, Dr. Jesu stood in the command center of the human flagship. Monitoring the dimensional isolation chambers they had constructed around the Cathara hive mind entities, it had been her idea to separate the controlling intelligence from the swarm rather than destroy it entirely. "The hive queens are secure," she reported to Admiral Sola. "They exist in pocket dimensions where they can continue to live, but they cannot reach out to control their swarm anymore." "And the warrior drones?" Admiral Sola asked. "Without the hive mind connection, they are returning to their basic instincts. They are becoming individual creatures again, no longer driven to consume and destroy." It was a solution that combined devastating military effectiveness with unexpected mercy. The galaxy had expected the humans to simply annihilate their enemies, as every other species had tried to do. Instead, they had found a way to neutralize the threat while preserving life. In the weeks that followed, the Galactic Council found themselves facing a new reality. The species they had dismissed as primitive now possessed technology that made their own achievements look like children's toys. Human dimensional science was centuries ahead of anything the galaxy had developed. Their AI systems were so advanced, they seemed to have emotions and creativity. Their understanding of physics had unlocked possibilities that most civilizations had never imagined. Ambassador Veltara stood in the rebuilt council chambers, her crystalline form showing signs of stress from the recent war. Around her, the representatives of dozens of species waited nervously for the humans to make their demands. Expected the newcomers to claim dominance over the galaxy they had just saved. Admiral Sola entered the chamber through a dimensional portal, a technology that still amazed the assembled aliens. She walked to the center of the room with quiet confidence, her white hair and weathered face marking her as a leader who had earned her position through experience rather than politics. "We have a proposal," she announced, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. "Not demands, not requirements, but a suggestion for how we might move forward together." The aliens exchanged glances. They had been preparing for conquest, occupation, or at best a demand for tribute. A proposal for cooperation was the last thing they had expected. "We suggest dissolving the old council structure," Admiral Sola continued. "Instead of a hierarchy based on assumed superiority, we propose a cooperative network where every species contributes according to their unique strengths." Dr. Minji appeared beside the Admiral, her own dimensional teleportation device, making her arrival seem effortless. She carried data tablets containing detailed plans for galactic reorganization. "The Zephyrians are masters of energy manipulation," Dr. Mingi explained. "The hegemony understands crystal-based technology better than anyone else. The Mortani have spent millennia perfecting gravity control. Each species has developed unique capabilities that could benefit everyone." "What about humans?" asked Commander. Rax's scales showing colors of confusion and curiosity. "What is your unique contribution?" Admiral Sola smiled, and this time there was genuine warmth in her expression. "We bring the ability to think differently. We approach problems from angles that others have never considered. We find solutions that break the rules rather than following them." The proposal was revolutionary. Instead of one species dominating others, the new galactic cooperative would share knowledge and resources freely. Human dimensional technology would be taught to anyone who wanted to learn. Alien energy manipulation and gravity control would be combined with human innovation to create possibilities no single species could achieve alone. The transformation was not immediate, but it was steady. Within a year, the first joint research stations were established. With human scientists working alongside alien colleagues as equals, the Dimensional Gateway Network was expanded to connect every member world, allowing instant travel and communication. Across the galaxy, Dr. Doyen found himself teaching quantum entanglement principles to a class of mixed-species students, Dr. Hannah's biological computers. were being adapted by crystalline engineers to create hybrid systems that surpassed anything either species could build alone. Dr. Jesus. Dimensional research was opening new frontiers in physics that excited scientists across the galaxy. The old surveillance networks were dismantled. The fee-based communication systems were replaced with free quantum entanglement networks. The territorial disputes that had plagued the galaxy for centuries were resolved through dimensional expansion, allowing every species to have the space and resources they needed. Ambassador Veltara, now serving as a coordinator rather than a ruler, watched the first mixed-species exploration fleet depart for distant galaxies. The ships use human dimensional drives powered by Zephyrian energy systems, guided by Mortani gravity sensors, and protected by hegemony crystal shields. "I have to ask," she said to Admiral Sola as they watched the departure ceremony. "Why? Did you show us mercy? Why offer partnership instead of conquest?" Admiral Sola considered the question carefully. "Because conquest was never our goal. We never wanted to rule the galaxy, just wanted to be part of it." She paused, watching the ships disappear into dimensional portals that led to unknown stars. "You taught us that we were different. You were right, we are different. But being different does not mean being superior. It means bringing something new to the table. The galaxy is vast enough for everyone to find their place in it. The age of human dominance had begun not with conquest, but with cooperation. The species that had been forgotten had chosen to remember everyone else.